So I have this little son at home, he's 3, and I didn't find out if I was having a boy or girl with him. And with the whole time, I was like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. Anyway, it's fine, I don't care. I don't want to know, and either way is a gift. I was so like open about it. And then he was born, and they were like, it's a boy, and I was like, thank fucking God. And I didn't say it out loud, but I had this sense of relief, and I was so happy. So now I'm having another baby in January, and I did anyone can do that. And I did find out that what I'm having, and it's a boy, and this time I like screamed with glee in a way that I was really ashamed of. And yesterday I was on the phone with someone, and I told her I was having a boy, and then I went, it's a boy, thank God. And she goes, why do you say that? I go, I'm sorry, I'm a woman, you're a woman, what is wrong with me? And I go, she was like, why do you feel that way? And I go, it's just that, like, being a teenager with my mother was like so horrible that I just cannot imagine ever being in the reverse side of that and having to deal. I'm still really traumatized. Is anyone else? Is it just me? Like, I'm still in my 30s, like incredibly traumatized from my teenage years with my mother, and I can't even think of fathom of having that with my own kid again. But I think it was a little bit worse in my house because my father worked until 9:30 at night. He got home from New York City. We lived in New Jersey at 9:30 at night every night. My brother is significantly older, so he was a senior in college or like a freshman in high school when I was in 8th grade, so he was never around. And my mom's life was like imploding when I was in 8th grade, and I was the only one home to be there to witness any of it. Like her mother, the short of it is her mother was dying. Her mother lived on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Her brother threw the will in the incinerator. I mean, how dramatic does it get, right?
Damn.
Yeah, threw the will in the incinerator. My mother was supposed to get this money. The brother burned the will. My mother and her brother got in this fight. She's cut off her brother from my life, and I never saw my cousins again. Like, this whole thing was, this is a whole other story. The point is, my house was like a house of stress. My dad was like, I'm going to work. And my brother was like, I'm old. And I was the only one there. And it was just horrible. And so I had this feeling all in like 8th and 9th grade that my mom was sort of annoyed that she had another kid to deal with. And that she was like, I have to work, I have all this drama in my life, and I have this fucking kid at home. And she just seemed like to resent my presence. And so I was kind of on my own in 8th grade. And I had this friend that lived down the street who was one of those really slutty Jewish girls, you know what I mean, in Jersey. And she was really slutty. And she was my friend, and I got wind that she was throwing a surprise party for me on my birthday in October. And I didn't tell my mom that I thought that there was a party or anything. I just told her I was going over to her house. So I go over to my friend's house, and there was a surprise party. And by 8th grade, like, everybody but me, had gotten cold hard cash via a confirmation or a bar mitzvah, and I was raised in a house of atheists where there was no God, and there was no cash payout for me. So I got nothing, you know? And so the surprise party happened, and I was like, yeah. And the shocking thing was, like, I think that there was this sort of unspoken thing amongst the attendees, and they gave me envelopes of cold hard cash. Like, everybody gave me money. And I left this party with $250, and I came home and I was like, well, my mom doesn't know that there was this party in the first place. She just thought I went to my friend's house. I'm not going to tell her about the money, because I knew she would make me put it towards some sort of like college computer fund or something, and I didn't want to do that. So like I said, I'm from New Jersey, and so the next day, shockingly, I end up at the mall, which is what all you do. And I go to the mall, and I have all this money, and I was like on supermarket sweep, and I just bought just whatever I wanted, I bought. And I bought clothes in my style, which has evolved, but it was pretty much like anything like skin tight, fluorescent, or black. At the time, when I was not with child as I am now, I'm a very tall, like, lanky person, and like so, like, and I was very into being androgynous because that's the way I was built at the time, and I really kind of milked that. And so the next day, I'm getting ready to go to school, and my dad's already on the train to Manhattan, my brother's gone, my mother's already off at work, which is how it always was. Like, I was always getting ready for school by myself and catching the bus by myself. And so I get ready for school, and I put on the greatest outfit in the world. And it's this like head to toe, long sleeved orange unitard that I purchased the day before, which I know is reserved for modern dance, but I didn't care. And then I was like, you know what, is this enough? And then I was like, I'm going to accent it with my new jacket. And it was this jacket, and the color, this is the 90s as well, it was like a weird era where like mustard was a very hot color to be wearing. And so it was like mustard with like a little bit of pink and like skin tight, like a scuba jacket, okay? So I put that on over the unitard. I'm like, yeah. And mind you, like I am built like Buck, the storyteller with the fart. Like that was my body. And I feel like Ziggy Stardust. And I really feel like I am Ziggy Stardust going to school. And I have never felt more confident in my life. And so I go to school and I walk through the door. And I feel great. And I'm there and I don't even make it to first period where I feel this cold hand on my arm. And a teacher, his voice comes out and they go, come with me. And I turn around. And it's Miss Salento, who was this gym teacher that I fucking hated. I mean, as a girl that's been 5'10" since like the dawn of time, I had a little bit of rage towards petite women at the time. I'm over it now, it's fine. But at the time, I had a lot of anger towards normal-sized girls. And this gym teacher was like 5'2", and she was Halloween previously had worn her high school cheerleading outfit as her Halloween costume, and just walked around going, still fits, still fits. And I was like, physical fitness pays off, still fit. And I just hated this woman and her tiny little outfit and her cheerleader attitude. And I was fucking Ziggy Stardust. She was like the antithesis of everything I stood for. So she comes up and she takes my arm. She goes, come with me. And I'm like, where am I going? And she's like, we're going to talk to the principal. And I was like, what? And I had this moment that I felt like Lee Harvey Oswald, like, I'm a patsy. So they take me into the principal's office. I was like, what is going on? And she goes, your outfit is too distracting. I was like, distracting? For what? She goes, you belong in a nightclub, not in school. And I was like, this is a great outfit. What do you mean distracting? Like people can't do their work because of my outfit? And she was like, yes. And mind you, like girls, this is Jersey. Like girls are coming to school in crop tops. Like there are guys coming to school, like this is a baggy pants era where they're like, you know what I mean? Like when people wear their pants with their penises out, like basically that was the look, you know what I mean? Like their butt crack was a thing. Like that's how people were dressing. And I was like, I'm distracting? She was like, yes, this is too much. We have to talk to the principal about it. I was like, about my outfit, okay, fine. So she brings me into the principal's office and she looks me up and down and is like, no, you cannot be wearing this. And I was like, I can't, what are you talking about? She goes, I agree, this is way too distracting. And mind you, I'm in 8th grade. There was a pregnant 7th grader, Teresa, this is where I grew up. No one's paying attention to anybody. So it's, Teresa Caramonica was her name, and I was like, this is more distracting than Teresa Caramonica's pregnant baby. That's what I said. And it was just like this moment of, no one, like, people are gonna cannot do fractions because I'm in a unitard. Like, there's just no way anyone is gonna be able to, like, I just can't. She belongs in a nightclub. So she goes, we're calling your mother. And I was like, what? She goes, your mother's gonna have to come get you. And I go, my mom's at work, 45 minutes away, she can't come get me. And she was like, well then we're calling your dad. I was like, my dad is in Manhattan, he cannot get me. And she's like, well then your mother's closer, we'll call your mother. And I was like, she's a teacher, she teaches 45 minutes away, she cannot leave in the middle of the day and come get me, like that's not, she goes, well we're calling her. And then she goes, well maybe your mother shouldn't have let you out of the house looking like that. And I go, well, she wasn't home. She's a working mom. She wasn't there. And I was like, and as angry as I was at my mother at the time, I was like, is this fucking bitch, like I can talk about her, but now you're gonna like talk about her. And I was like, she's working. She has a lot on her plate. And I was like, and she would have let me out of that house in this. She would have thought it was a good outfit. And so we're arguing. And she was like, well, you know, maybe your mother should pay more attention. I was like, fine, call my mother. So she calls my mother at this, my mother's teaching job 45 minutes away. And this is like, again, there's no cell phones or anything. So she has to call the office, the prince, whatever the office is of this elementary school my mom works in, and then they have to someone has to walk down the hall, get my mom, then my mom has to get someone to cover her 4th grade class that she teaches, and then go and take this call. There's a 15 minutes before she gets back to the phone. And my mother is furious by the time she takes this call, and I hear her screaming on the end of the phone. And the woman's like, "You need to come pick up your daughter." My mother's like, "I'm not coming to pick up my daughter." She goes, her outfit is distracting. She goes, "What do you mean?" They were and they describe it, and I hear my mother scream, "She's a free spirit!" I'm not coming, and then she's yelling, and my mother starts yelling about vacation days and getting a sub and coverage for this and all the she's just screaming at her, and then she was and she was furious, and there was no other choice. She's you have to come and get her and take her away. So my mother eventually had to do what this woman said, and so I have to wait now in the office. I didn't even make it to any classes. Nobody saw my outfit, and so I'm waiting there for it's a long time because my mom has to get a sub and then drive 45 minutes home and lose a day's pay over this. And by the time she walked in, you ever be I don't know, I used to wait tables when I first graduated college, and it was if I had a shitty table, I hated them so much, they would be really nice to another, I give another table free pie because this table was such an asshole. Do you know what I mean? That was going on. She hated this principal so much that I could do no wrong in that moment. You know what I mean? She was fuck this woman, my daughter is perfect. Just by default, because she had so much rage that she had to channel love into something. So she bursts into the office, and she was like, "Where is she? Where is she?" And I'm sitting there, and I was like, "Mom," and she stood up, and she goes, "Stand up," and I go, "Yeah," and I stand up, and she goes, "You look fine." I go, "Thank you," and I go, "Okay, you need to sign here," and my dying or dead, I don't know if it was my grandmother, worked at Cartier, up until the day that she died, in the silver department, and we had all these cast off things from Cartier. I'm still wearing some right now, with other people's initials in them and stuff. Things that rich people never picked up. You know what I mean? So we had all this shit. We had these pens and these jewelry and all these things. So the woman's like, "Okay, you need to sign out right here." And they passed my mother a big pen, and my mother went into her purse and took out this sterling silver Cartier pen, engraved with ZK or something on it, and then she took it out and she goes, "I have my own pen." Signed her name in her perfect handwriting, and she goes, "Let's go." And they go, "The principal would like to speak to you." And my mother goes, "No, thank you." And then she took her purse, and she really needs to speak to you. My mother was like, "No." And she goes, "Let's go." And she wouldn't speak to her. And we left, and we walked out. And I go, "Why wouldn't you talk to her?" And my mother said this, and I quote, she goes, "I won't give that bitch the satisfaction." So we leave, and we walk out of there. We're these giant women, walking out so proudly. And I was like, "She likes me. My mom likes me like she does." It's okay. We have this moment. She's totally on my side. And we walk out, and we go in the car, and we drove home, and she had to stay home with me, and I got to watch Price is Right, and do all of those things you do when you're home, except I wasn't sick at all, and I got to spend a day with my mother, which never happened for years before or after, but I had this great day with her. So I don't know, maybe having a girl wouldn't have been too bad. Anyway, thanks.